into here. Top of the buoy is leaned out, so the water's, I know it seems backwards, but you can see the kelp hanging off it. The buoy's tipped into the current. The top of the buoy's tipped into the current. So as you're going to race courses, you notice things, and the bridge piers are very sunk. So it's definitely high tide. So even if you don't have a tidal forecast, you can use clues. A lot of kids now don't use those clues because the coaches never expect them to know it themselves. And there we go. When we come in later today, we're going to see a bunch of kelp beds. Eelgrass up and down the beaches because the tide's gone out a lot. Today's the second biggest tide of the year. South San Diego Bay, wonderful place to sail, quite big. Looking over here, the current I think has switched. I'm going almost 1 knot right now and I'm not barely moving. But it is kind of going down the course a little too, but I can see the rings. You're gonna see me get sucked into this buoy, but you can see the rings right in there. So the water is going that way. Look, I'm gonna hit it. Yeah, see how I'm getting sucked into it. So the tide is changing right now, or has changed. Low tide's at 4:30. Yep, you can see the tail off of the buoy. So you need to sit near buoys quite a bit. Like if they were smart, they would come right over here, take a little food break, and just sit right next to the pin and just, our line sight's gonna be somewhere out over there. Okay, and then we've got a beautiful, just like I thought at noon, 8 knots, 9 knots. The head to wind rating is 250. We have head to wind ratings as far as 267. South Bay is quite shifty and you need a compass to sail here. So this is like these 29ers, this is like, they've been sailing 29ers for more than 2 years and they still don't use compasses. So numbers on the starting line, we think were 152. We're gonna ask them. Head to wind readings was 250 just a minute ago. So 152 plus 90 is 242. But we got 250 for our head to wind. So it's 8 degrees out of perpendicular. It's 8 degrees to the boat. This fleet is quite good, by the way. These 29ers, normally a lot of good sailors don't come to Luffins, but the 29ers do a clinic on Saturday, and then on Sunday they race in the Luffins. I'm getting sucked into this buoy extremely quickly. I'm gonna be hitting it here in just a second. So anyway, we'll talk about the compasses again here. This is a very strong fleet. So you have the Ida Lewis National Champs, double-handed nationals in 61. You got this guy got 20th. See the 20 on his sail? That means you're only allowed to have sail numbers 1 through 25 for the year. And it shows what place you got at the World. Those are 15-year-olds, maybe just turning 16-year-olds. Got 20 at the World, 260 boats. Shoot, I can't remember where that World was. It was just 3 months ago. And there you go. There's the Ida Lewis girls. This is Braden and Wyatt. These are the crew on this boat has more experience than anybody in this fleet. Both has a skipper and a crew. This is a little younger team. The crew just out of Sabbaths just in the last 8 months. And the skipper's got a lot of experience. Very good light medium air. Like this. This is where she'll beat some of these guys. Their jib is too far out. They have less power because their beach is too. This is very common in the sport for people to under trim the jib. The jib is very tall and skinny. So it's very easy to get the jib too loose. All it takes is 1 inch too loose and your beach is too twisted. Now, yesterday, this was the side that had more wind and people came out really good right out of this side, and I do think it is. Now this is further right than it was yesterday at this time. Okay, I'm losing trees to these guys, and I'm ahead of the guys on the left. See how I'm losing the bridge spear on Ben and Will, the first place boat there? So it's a different day today. This did not happen yesterday. You can watch yesterday's Sabbath laser video, and this did not happen. There was a cone off of the Naval Amphibious Base cone. It's kind of there. It comes out off of this in a little cone, light air off of this. The two winds. The wind comes from down the bay. We get wind down the bay from this side, and then we get a puff from the left. Creates a cone. Bold move by Ben and Will to go, Will and Ben to go out there early, because they did practice out here yesterday. So I think that that was a bold move. There we go. So good move by Julia here. I think they're a little off the pace still. We're gonna get them going. And they didn't just cross behind these boats. So they didn't just cross behind the boats on the right. They went ahead and tacked underneath them. This is called covering from behind. You know, you're behind. If you crisscross with them, you might just double your loss. So you go underneath them and you go the same VMG on the same tack for a while. And you give the race time to play out. And it looks windier over there, dude. This is a place, if you've never sailed in South Bay, which most people who watch this will know, you could be 200 feet closer to that shore of somebody else, and you can sail right around them. They'll be in a bigger header and less wind. If I was her, I would dig into that little bit more breeze there, and we'll see how she does. So Will and Ben are a little lower and slower than Kevin and Holland. Lower and faster, and they're almost exactly the same. Here's Braden and Wyatt on a little header, and here comes Julia just ramped up. I don't know if you watched this. Oh my goodness, look at this. This is called the Silver Strand Breeze, man. And yeah, she just got back in the trade. And I'm not in it yet. I'm just getting into it now. You can be 200 feet to lure to somebody and be in a totally different wind. And she's doing very good, but just going flat, as fast as she can. These guys have too much twist, especially with that ball of a crew. Too much twist.
My fix, you are in sequence is a weird amalgamation flag, so he's never mind.
Each of the jib is right at the spreader. They're not too much tighter than the Julia. They got more breeze than everybody. Even more breeze coming, so they're going to be rounding first. See that quick little burp? He lets it out half as much as the other guys, but he does it so fast that it just burps the wind out of the sail just a little. Team 11 is Braden and Wyatt. They'll make the mark with the current. Yeah, you got to underlay with the ebbing tide. You can tell, oh, yeah, dude, yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe we just do once around to everybody with the 29 into the 20.
Oh boy, that was impressive.
Timer going, so we're going to see how long the 420s take. I just don't want them doing more than like 35-second races.
Tight pack. What a tight pack. And then this is the newest team. Just got their first boat, Grand Boat. So that's a big privilege. They get a boat loaned to them essentially. They earn it. And yeah, they learned yesterday that grip tape project is a little more work than they realized. So they got it on there good. Look at the grip tape on the bow of that thing, that black tape. They got it on there good. About 7 knots. 29ers are feeding into a little more breeze. This is Vesper and Maggie here. Benton and Steven, I think, are there. So that's gonna be a battle between those. She's got her rake forward, 2441. She's powered up. Look how high her boom is. It's way powered up. And that's okay. If you're not hiking, that's good. And then this is Theo and Celeste's first time sailing 420 regatta together. They need more jib Cunningham, more windward sheet, more jib sheet. But that's, I'm serious, Celeste, she does, you know, she's really new to crewing. Southern California under 12 Sabbath champion, who's now getting into some crewing. Oh, there's Fenton, just took a big lift. 9006, that's a good team. We got the FJ non-spinnaker fleet. And really what we talked about for them is getting the jib and the main right. And then steady, hard hiking is what wins. So you gotta hike a high percentage of your ability, 80% of your ability, 70%, and hang out there. And you pretty much don't need to sit in at all. You just want to hang as hard as you can. And you're hanging off the jib sheet, you're hanging off the main sheet, and just practicing hiking, distributing the load between your legs and your ankles and your wrists on the main sheet, the jib sheet, anywho. Open skiffs. Pretty solid little fleet here. So this is the more self-reliant fleet. We don't really provide, at least some clubs don't provide a lot of trailers and a lot of organization from the administrators and stuff. This one, you throw that thing in the back of your truck and get it there. Really, really good. And again, hiking is everything. Here's Ronan right here, 11982. And he should do quite well today. He's a really good hiker, 10-year-old. I think he got second place in the A fleet yesterday in Sabbaths at 10. That's not super common. There's Colin, Coach Colin. This is really nice. And then we do have a 9-year-old out there. Where is she? 2074. Puppy. I like it. They got their helmets on. We really encourage helmets in all fleets once it gets to be about 12, 11. For these guys, way less than that. Race 1 on Sunday. I'm going to ask them what their average compass number was on each tack. So what was a number that they would have considered good on the compass? So right now, I'm going to point his direction. I'm going to say 195. I'm going to point his direction. Okay, no, 185. 185. 185. Okay, 190. I knew it was going to be those numbers today, so that's why I, oh, did they do a course 1? Oh, wow, cool, course 1. Race 2, you can see the wind line right here. That's the Silver Strand breeze. It's pushed out and then you see it die right in this area. So these guys are gonna come off the line in a big hole. And whoever gets to that line right there first is gonna sail away. And I bet you a lot of these guys are looking. This is not good to be coming in at the boat in an ebbing tide. So ebbing tide means that the current is going, I'm pointed straight into it. It's pushing me towards the bridge. So it's gonna this is gonna close out. Little did the race committee know that the wind has gone. Look at his flag. I mean, his flag's almost blowing straight away from me. So this is just boat end favored by too much. Oh boy. darn good circle because it was done in a light spot. So they were just shy of the wind. Kevin and Holland did a great job there saying tack and cross, go ahead and start your circle and get out of there. And bye-bye. Bye-bye. This is definitely a higher starboard angle than we had in race 1. Windiest part of the day. This is a good 12 knots. This is kind of what South Bay is known for right here. Top builds up a little bit. The current's kind of sideways to the wind, but it still builds it up a little. Look at the 420s. Luffins are usually the kids that are just below the aces. You know, the kids, you know, high school sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Most of these kids are 7, 8, 9 graders. Luffins are a little too not cool enough for some of the older kids. But look at the 29er kids. They come to Luffins because this is all good low pressure practice against each other. It gives them a chance just to wing it and throw caution to the wind a lot more. They can just go and take a little more risk and not, you know, not have any sort of worries at all. Yeah, boat number 1, those guys, there's an 8-year-old on that boat crewing. Brendan, a little animal, and they weigh 138 pounds together, we think. Or 143 or something. These guys' cross training is foil boarding, wing foiling, and moth sailing. So the skipper does moth sailing to enhance his skills, and the other guy does wing foiling and board foiling and foiling. They got the bank quite loose, yeah. The bank, you can see the leech bounce just a little. It'll flex just a little bit. But that's quite loose with the main sheet quite tight. Wow, they really got that boom. We got to look at that. Braden and Wyatt sail with a little more heel, maybe? No, never mind. Their boom is also quite tight, so that's what they're doing right now in this medium wind is bang loose. These guys have the bang a fraction tighter and the sheet a fraction, the main sheet a fraction loose. These girls, I mean. No, their leech is flexing. Their bangs are all very similar. Really big on the jib luffing a tiny bit at the top, downwind. Any sort of vacuum behind the mainsail makes it so that you have to go higher in the light spot. So I don't like going high in light spots. So anything that stalls out the air for the spinnaker is not good. Beauty. This guy's overstood by a little, but the current's helping him. Main out. He should let the main, he should feather the main just a little. So in that light spot, he should have been going really high. They're okay. They're right on. I thought they were overstood. They're not. Looking at the race committee boat, you use flags all the time, and obviously you're seeing it hanging. You look out here, it's kind of glassy. It was a really tough upwind leg. Here's the Borellis winning this race by a mile, race 2. Look how much they gained on these guys. I'm wondering why these boats back here aren't jibing. So upwind, we had about a 28-degree lift on starboard. Somebody should have been smart enough. The general rule is if you're lifted huge on starboard, upwind, then you get on port tack downwind. Now, they're all going to tell me, hey, there was no wind that way, and they're probably right. Because, yeah, I mean, I don't have much wind here, but you definitely don't want to stay here. You guys definitely there should be the first to jibe. Because if you get a, you know, these guys might be overstood at such a, you know, they might be going almost upwind with the spinnaker there. So a lot of people went too far out there. Look at these guys. They're gonna, if the wind goes another 10 degrees right, there was a, in the forecast, it was forecast to briefly go north, not northwest, like northwest. That's further right than where I am right now. So if that happens right now, those guys are going to be coming in upwind into the gate. The weather mark was over there. The wind was at 315 recently, so now the weather mark is there. Beautiful pink mark up there.
Getting out far away should anchor it.
Yeah. And then we got the 420s coming at us. Oh, Celeste skippering now 9305 with Theo crewing for her. God, the current is ripping. I don't know if you can see it down in there, but it is going very strong for San Diego current. This is good. Braden and Wyatt first. Luffy and Maribel second. Yeah, those all left. That upwind leg was go right underneath the amphibious space. And you can see this big hole I'm in right here. And these guys are blasting down. I'm not sure what happened there. They had them by a long way. Here comes Will and Ben.
Okay, awesome, yeah.
Yeah, so she should be looking at Kevin. We talked about going with the tighter main. Don't play the main too much. I don't even know what race it is. Race 4, I hope. These guys always tend to play the main looser, and right now we've crossed over into that mode where you can start to burp it out. They're pretty loose on the rig, 18 probably. Okay, looking upwind, it looks like 420s are in a lefty. Here are the gates. They're crazy far apart. Here comes Fenton and Steven winning by a mile. He's got to square his pole back, but they're just talking right now.
They are not racing over by race committee, I believe.
Obvious that we're not going on port tack at all. So the wind went back to the left during the race a little bit. He's lucky the current's against him. He's a little late on the pole. No, perfect timing. But they're lucky the current's against them. When the current's against you, you can be more patient on your takedowns. And then you have to be careful not to hit it right here because the current will be sweeping you up into it. And he's going to be going parallel to the gates. Look at that. He's going parallel to them. So some people went to that gate. Like if this was a starting line, you'd port tack the fleet from this end. Okay. They did their takedown more early. It is their last takedown, so it doesn't matter which side they take the kite down. Just remember that on your last takedown of a race, you take it down on the easier side. If it's a 2-lapper and you still have another lap to go, you err on dropping the kite on the port side of the fleet. You don't have to, because you can always do a windward set at the next mark, but it's usually understood that when in doubt, we're going spinnaker down on the left side, unless the skipper says otherwise, or unless we decide otherwise. Jack and Parker coming in here in 5th. Not sure how old Parker the crew is. I think he's 10. I think Jack's 11, yeah. Look at that. Hot. They got their jib a little too tight. Remember that jib suffocates the spinnaker a little. flags on the committee boat, they're at a different angle than the coach boat. The current is going left to right here, and the wind is going right to left. So if you notice, now we're starting to get it going to be more choppy. So what this means is you have to sail the boat really powered up. You really have to hike so that the skipper doesn't have to feather. You want to feather the 420s as little as possible, the 29ers and the open skiffs. Feather them as little as you can. The FJs you would feather a tiny bit more than the other boats. But it's going to be choppy, so the crew that can hike and you can really put power in the boat and keep the boat almost perfectly flat. Maybe at 1 or 2 degrees of leeward heel upwind just makes it a little easier to steer. They did not move the weather mark, so it doesn't make sense that everybody's on starboard for the entire run. We got to come up with a system for kids to carry their own food. I mean, we just tore somebody's mainsail. Trying to have somebody tie up to me. Who is that? That's Braden and Wyatt. No, that's Sean and Wes at the pen. And then this is Julia. They had a better race last race for sure. They were a little unlucky the second race because they got going left, which had paid on the first beat. And you know, you get your head down and you're just ripping it. And the wind goes 15 degrees right and dies on the left. So, you know, sometimes. Now, the first beat of the last race, the left paid big. She didn't get a good start here, so she stepped up. Her jib, leech jib looks really good. Some of the kids need to get their battens figured out on their jibs. High school sailing trains these kids to not check stuff, right? You just show up and throw the jib and main up, and the vang doesn't get adjusted, and the batten's a little broken, oh well, and oh, the bungee doesn't quite work, oh well. And then you get in 29er and it's the opposite of what you do. Or you get in a J70 or an Edgeles or a heel bow, it's the opposite of what works. You have to have things just say, I think she's ahead of these guys. She hikes pretty good, but they are sailing with too much. She's having to let the main out too much. August is not very big, but it means they got to pull the bang on, flatten the bottom of the main, and let the main out an inch, not 4 inches. This looks good. It's a little too much twist in the main. Youngest skipper in the fleet. So they could go a little, since it's such flat water, he could hold the main a little tighter like the big boys do. That's not their mark, by the way. Leech of the jib looks good, right at the spreader tip. And then you have to watch the break of the jib. The break of the jib is it luffing at the top before the bottom. That's too much of an ease. The skipper needs to bounce out their shoulders. They need to be moving their upper body without it affecting their steering. These guys tacked again to go back, so that's a very good sign for these guys. That means starboard must be lifted right now. We're at the expansion of the bay. The bay's narrow up there, it expands, so that dark wind up there, way up there, doesn't really pan out. It doesn't move down the course, it kind of sprays out. Julia just went for the hard right. She just, on these northwest days, man, the right will pay. And especially when the current's going out like this. And she is overstood by a good, 8 boat lengths though. So all these guys are going to tack under her and make the mark. Let's see if 61 makes it. I think 61 is making the mark. Yeah, so, yeah. If the tide is, the water's brown over here. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but the water is brown. That means, this 16-foot deep water is just getting pushed out towards the bridge. And the Borelli's, I don't know, 61, let's see. I don't know if you remember race 1, but everybody was this close. Now you take a look upwind and They're going to come around with good speed here. This is good rounding speed. Ben going into soak mode. This is the type of stuff we should be doing in practice without coaching, you guys. You should be doing the windward mark rounding drill. 1 minute on starboard, 1 minute on port. Drop the kite, race back up to the windward mark. Do 8 laps like that together, 4 boats rounding right with each other. Now our rakes and things, the rake range on a 29er is so small that you don't really worry about it too much. You just move your body forward and it changes it that much at the top of the map. But let's watch the Traveler. These telltales are flying almost all the time. Little stall in them. Look at that. That's 4 inches from 2 blocks. Ease to 5, back to 4, down to 3. Yeah. Yeah, she's just yanking. Oh, that was just for a second. Almost 2 blocked. Look at these guys. 20th at the Worlds this year. At 15 years old. Look how deep their bow is. Wow. They are very deep bow. Flat water. These telltales are flying all the time. 2 block. Almost 2 block. They're bigger. Oh, these guys have another lap. These guys look like they're looser on the bank maybe, but or their boom seems high. But again, look at the Traveler main sheet relationship. Barely changing. And they're very bow down. See, that's the problem with the 29ers. These guys are, you know, for Southern California, these guys are almost too big for a 29er and they weigh less than 300 pounds together. No, they're probably 300. 285. But you know, you just to sail the boat right, you gotta stay forward, but then the bow can go under. But flat water, oh my goodness. Look at this. Look at this. These guys are about to capsize over here. Huge puff. Biggest puff we've had in the last 15, 20, 25 minutes. Whoa. I think you're gonna see the main changing more. Oh, no, they're right in there. The biggest change we made with them is not easing the main as much. No, they're looking much better. Not easing main. Now they need a little bang on. Once Sean starts to feel like he has to bend his back like that, he should just go more bang. There you go. Earlier they were easing their main out instead of having the skipper on the rail. Same thing with these guys. And it's really hard for a kid to see when I can't get them in the video room enough, but that's just so much twist. She's just got to pull that dang thing harder. Now, see, that's the whole top of the sail is pointed downwind, not holding enough breeze. But at least you got the skipper on the rail now. You got to pull it hard enough to get this much wind. We got to have the skipper on the rail. I mean, I'm seeing little white caps here. The skippers, in their size, the skipper should be on the rail in about 6 knots, maybe 7. Anything over 7, if the skipper's not on the rail, then they have to pinch. Second, big lead. Jackson and Poppy. Coming in. Yeah. Last race, they sure got out ahead. I gotta hear what happened there. They must have got, the boats to leeward of them must have not got wind. I was really surprised that the left was okay, even though it was in the lee of the naval amphibious. So that was the stumper for today. I thought for sure people would come out of the right middle with just more clear air, but there we go.